Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's been such a long time that I've been thinking about doing this channel, really celebrating the amazing culture and talent that is out there in the world, and especially from the emerging world, from places like Lebanon and Ghana, and places that don't really see the media limelight as much as places in the West. So here it is. This is what I've been wanting to do forever. So the purpose of the channel is kind of just to get people on here, get rising stars in art, in music, in fashion, in design, to talk about their craft, talk about who they are, tell you a bit about them, what inspires them, how their experiences have made their art and their fashion, the way it is, and everything in between. So, without further ado, I would love to talk through my first guest, who is Lobnan Mahfouz, an amazing fashion designer from Beirut. He actually lives in Beirut now. I actually met him 10 years ago. Oh my God, I feel old. 10 years ago in Dubai, or sorry, not in Dubai, sorry, Beirut, when I was living in Beirut studying there. And funnily enough, the second time I met him, I feel like the first time I met him, we were just talking about like how we're interested in fashion and art and whatever. And the second time I met him, we went for lunch, and he brought with him to lunch his fashion drawings and his portfolio, and he went through them with me. We were like maybe 19, 20, and he's like looking at this stuff. I'm like, this is really cool. He's like, I'm gonna be a fashion designer. I'm like, whoa, okay, yes, I love that. You were definitely gonna be a fashion designer. Fast forward 10 years later, and this guy is incredible. He has his own label. He's worked in Turkey, in China, in India. Very cool designs. His label's called Perils Label. It's a really cool label that really mixes his experiences being from Lebanon, but also traveling the world. It's a unisex brand, and I really want to talk about it to him a bit more and hear his story and hear the inspiration behind it, because I think it's so important. So I'm excited for this talk. Like and share and comment and subscribe to this channel, because I want to do this more, and I want as many people to understand this and to be part of this as possible, because I think it's a cool initiative. So like it, share it, comment, subscribe. All right, guys, let's get into it. بحبك يا لبنان. Hello. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm so good. I'm so glad you're here. Oh my God, I'm so glad. This is like my first YouTube video, and I have one of the people that I love the most as a designer on here for the first time. How do you
Thank you so much for having me as like the first guest.
I know. I would not have. Honestly, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I've been thinking about who would be.
I love your shirt.
Thank you. I got it in Paris. It was like $10 at
Beautiful.
a vintage store in Paris. Like, get into the Paris vintage. It's amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, I wanted to get you on here because your story is super cool. I don't know if you remember, but I met you when we met 10 years ago. Oh my God, 10 years ago. I feel like we're so fucking old right now. But when we met 10 years ago, I think the second time I met you, we went for lunch, and you brought your fashion drawings with you and your fashion portfolio, and you were going through it, and you're like, I'm gonna be a fashion designer. I'm like, oh my God, yes, you're gonna be a fucking fashion designer. And here you are, like 10 years later, with your own label. You've lived around the world, you're like well celebrated. I love it. So I'm so glad that you're here today and that we can talk about it a bit more. Oh my God. So Lebanon's electricity in Lebanon cut off like mid-sentence. And this is exactly what I want to record and document, because this is the reality in Lebanon. I don't know if you guys know, but in Lebanon, I think every day, 3 hours of the day, the electricity is cut off. That's just a matter of fact. So even when I was living there, every day for 3 hours, the electricity was cut off. So either you had a generator and you like had to do it yourself and get your electricity through your house, or you had no electricity. So this is a classic example of like living in Lebanon and living in, different parts of the world where electricity is not, a 24-hour given thing. So here we go.
Redo this.
Yeah. I love it. I feel like this is like exactly what I want to show on this show. This is living in Lebanon, 100%. Like, electricity is not granted to you. It's not guaranteed. Like, what is it?
No, never.
Still,
Nothing.
what, 3 hours a day that there's no electricity? Is that the thing?
No, I mean, like, I actually uh, don't remember, but because, like, yeah, almost 3 hours a day, no
Yeah,
electricity. But we have the generator, so
of
we
course.
don't feel that there's no electricity. So,
Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah.
that's off and on. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you got your electricity back and your generator's
Thank you
on.
so much for having me. Thank you
Of
so much.
course, of course. Can you like give us a bit of your background in fashion? Where did you start off? How has it been, and where you think you're going?
Okay, so first, I've always had this passion for fashion, actually, and I always wanted to work in the art field, but I didn't know that I wanted to do fashion design and I wanted to major fashion.
Yeah.
So, like by like high school days, like last two couple of years of high school, so I was like really into fashion and I wanted to study fashion design.
Yeah.
So after finishing high school, after like graduating from high school with like it was high school was a nightmare for me, like I never ever loved school. It was like something that I just like didn't understand, that I always wanted to work in arts, and
Yeah.
high school was like, oh my god, it was a nightmare. So I had to graduate from high school, just like to do whatever I want. It's like what my dad asked me, just like graduate from high school and like do whatever you want.
Totally.
So
I'm right there with you.
yeah. So after I graduated, I'm like, okay, where do I go now? Where do I study? So I went to ESMOD,
Yeah.
the French fashion school for ready to wear in Lebanon, in Beirut. And I studied fashion design and pattern drafting for 3 years. Then I graduated in 2011. After I graduated, I just like wanted to gain more experience and like to know what I want exactly, because I was like kind of lost,
Yeah.
because
Like we all
Lebanon
are
is like,
after graduating.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
And like, because Lebanon is like the country of fashion, and like
yeah.
there's a lot of fashion designers, there's a lot of fashion brands. And I really wanted to 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 have like an experience before I start my own label.
Mm.
So I had to do like some internships in Lebanon at Elisab, Zohair Murad. Before that, I did internship at Rabih Keyrouz, and then I got the chance to move to Istanbul to work with one of the labels there who produces in Istanbul. And that was like a very interesting experience. It was like new for me, and like to be like and like working in fashion, like directly like with the tailors, figuring out what fabric should we use, and like
Yeah.
like when you get there to work, it's like totally different than the university years, and like how
Totally.
things were like La Vie en Rose
Yeah.
back then in the days.
Real
So
hands-on
I had like,
experience.
yeah. So I moved out of the country and I moved to Istanbul, and it was like a new environment for me. I was like learning and gaining experience. And then after that, I moved back to Lebanon. I was like working as an online buyer for like one of the websites here in Lebanon.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And yeah, and sorry.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, and then like a friend of mine visited me from Istanbul, and he was like, "Listen, I have a friend of mine who's an Italian fashion designer, and he's looking for an assistant to go with him to India to produce his new collection." And that was another experience when I went to India with this designer to work on one of his collections, and that was like a very interesting experience. Like on a personal level, I was like, India was like shocking.
Yeah.
It changed my perspective of like seeing things, and it was like a great experience working with Indians,
Yeah.
uh,
And where in India?
and
Where in India were you actually?
I was in New Delhi.
Okay, got it, got it. Cool.
Delhi, yeah. And so I spent like almost like 4 months there. I was like working with him on the collection. It was like super interesting.
Yeah.
And then I came back to Lebanon, and I was kind of lost because I was like, okay, shall I start my own label right now or not? I was like, no, I'm not ready. And I got a job offer to move to Bangkok, to Thailand, and work for a Brazilian company between yeah, like based, like their offices are based in Thailand, but they produce in China. So I was
Got it.
living for 1 year between Bangkok and China, Bangkok and Guangzhou for like a year, producing the samples for a brand, for a Brazilian brand. So it was like super interesting. Like
Yeah.
China, we hear about China, China, China. So it was like, wow, it's like a totally different world, totally different market. It was like an eye opener to me. It was like crazy. So I was like put there, and I had the freedom to do whatever I want because I was like producing the first sample before they start producing. So it's like finalizing the first sample and like doing whatever I want, like choosing the fabrics I want to use, designing whatever I want. So it was like a very good experience. So I
Yeah.
spent like a year there. I was like supposed to spend 2 years there, but I decided to come back to Lebanon and start my own label.
And here you are. So tell us what
Yes,
I
that was
think
like,
it's such a cool experience. I mean, I knew that you were living all these different places, but it's cool that you were able to really find, different parts of yourself in different places. So in Bangkok and China, you got that experience. You got experience like working in India and understanding how that market works, and then also in Istanbul as well. That's such a varied background. How did that, or did it influence at all your label now? So you have Perverse Label. Tell us a bit more about that and how that happened and how these experiences kind of like fed into that.
yeah. So when I came back to Lebanon in 2015, I was like, okay, I want to start my own label. But I always wondering, like, Lebanon is all about couture, and like everyone is like doing
Yeah.
dresses mainly. I
Ellie
wanted to
Saab
have
and all
like,
those people. Yeah.
yeah, and they're so good at doing this, and like I don't think like uh, I can compete with any, and I don't think that I am. I'm more of like a ready to wear kind of designer, and I love to see people wearing. I love to bump into people my age wearing my stuff. Like I love this idea. So when I came back to Lebanon, I always had this idea of like, okay, shall I start my own label? Because it took me like 4 years of like experience with different brands before I started my own label. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, let me figure this out. What is really missing here is like a gender neutral brand, because like I always believed, and China and Bangkok, like this Far East had big influence on me,
I can
because
see
like as you see, they're like they are almost gender neutral, like they're men, they're women. It's like there's no macho society there. Like it's like the man should wear this and the woman should wear this. There's
yeah.
a lot of like this gender fluid kind of identity in them, and that really helped me to figure out what I want to do. And when I came back to Lebanon, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start my own brand. And I was like thinking about the name. And perverse, as you know, like the meaning of perverse, it's like when you're like thinking out of the box, not ordinary, not like something they're used to, something shocking in a way, but not uh, like it's attractively shocking. So I was like trying to figure
Provocative.
out a name. So I came up with the name. I designed the logo. I went for something phonetic, and I did everything. I was actually, because like I saved some money from my last experience, and I had them saved here in Lebanon. So when I came back to Lebanon, I'm like, okay, I have like this amount of money. Now I can like do my own label.
Okay.
So I bought fabrics. I just like contacted some tailors. I designed the first pieces. I did the first shoot um, from my savings, and and then I applied for Starch Foundation, and I was accepted.
Yeah.
Of course, you
Okay.
know about Starch
Foundation.
Foundation. It's a foundation, yes,
Yeah.
yes, for Rabih Keyrouz and Tala Hajar. So Rabih Keyrouz and Tala Hajar were my mentors for 2 years, and it was accepted. And then I did my second collection, third collection. I did 2 fashion shows at Dubai Fashion Forward. I was like super. What made me really happy is like seeing people liking my stuff and
Yeah,
interested in my stuff. You know, like when you first start, you're not really confident about what you're doing. It's
100%.
like you're just like testing the market, testing the waters. You know, it's like, and I like still till now, I'm like not, I'm not confident enough about what I do. Like every day, like I mean, like in every collection, whenever I release any collection, I would be like really suspicious about like how the market would see it, like how are people are gonna like it or not. And I believe, and I would always want to have this feeling, because this what would make you really
Yeah.
giving your best every time. You know,
I was
you
just thinking
shouldn't be
the same
sure
thing. I
about
feel
like
like
what
as
you're
an
doing.
artist, you're never satisfied with your work, and you're always worried how people are gonna take it. But you do it anyways. You know what I'm saying? Like you put your passion into it, and you love it like your baby. But you're always worried. Oh my God, is this the right thing? I mean, will people like it? I mean, am I expressing myself the way I want to, and will people be receptive to that? So I think that process is inherent to everybody. So I'm glad that you
Yeah,
actually did it anyways, which is
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Awesome. So, I mean, really, first of all, I'm going to link to your website and your Instagram for Perils Label in the description bar. So, anybody that wants to check out Lobnan's line or his line of clothes, please do it because it's phenomenal. There was
Thank
one
you.
collection that I super loved because it reminded me of like it was a very like a mix of Arab and Western cultures. I think you like designed some really interesting abayas for men and for women as well. Can you talk about a bit more about that collection? Or am I getting it right? I think
Which one? Which one?
there
The
was one
black
you
one
had
or the
like
African one?
black like abaya kind of things like with a net
Black.
fabric for man and woman. Is that
Yes, yes.
yeah?
That was yeah, that was released a couple of years ago. I called this collection Karma
Yeah.
because I wanted to do something traditional yet like crazy in a way that is not very common in our society, because a lot of people want to wear abaya, but they want it like a twisted abaya.
Yeah.
And I
Really
actually I
person.
just used the I actually just used like fabrics that I always use, like mesh, leather trims, and like stuff like this. And I made this collection, and people really loved it. It was like super interesting to them because it's like abaya with a twist. Yet you can wear it to the beach, you can wear it to an after party, you can wear it to a wedding. Like I had a client who ordered it for a wedding. He was like wearing a shirt and like long abaya, and it was like a success.
I love
I love this collection too. I love this
that.
collection.
What is your favorite collection that you've done so far, actually?
Actually, I really love my like my last collection, Tao,
Okay.
the one I released in October, actually in December, and because I felt that in this collection I was like kind of uh, more mature. Like I knew what I want. I knew how like to make a complete collection. I also love the shoot. Like Tariq Muqaddam did a great job for this shoot,
Yeah.
and the model was perfect. I found this gender neutral model. I bumped into her at the bar, and I'm like, "Would you model for me?" She's like, "Let me see your work," and I showed her, and she accepted. And I am like, I love everything about this. Like it's a whole package of like being like a nice complete collection. It's not just the pieces. But maybe my favorite pieces would be from my second collection, Shadows of My Reflection.
Okay.
It was like all black also. Like they're like all my babies. Like I have like love for every single collection in a way.
Of course.
But
Of course. You have to.
the last one would be my favorite because it's like the last. It's like uh, I don't know. It's like the maturity
Yeah.
of
The
God by
evolution of
like
Lubnan,
4 years.
basically, of your
Yeah,
brand. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of the evolution of Lubnan, for those of you that don't know, Lubnan actually means Lebanon in Arabic. So your name is like the best thing ever because I love Lebanon and I love Lubnan and I love them both together. But anyway, speaking of being a fashion designer in Lebanon, what has your experience been being in Lebanon, in Beirut, among other designers, among other people? How has it been? What's the scene like there? Paint a picture for us.
Okay, like Lebanon is full of talents, and like we have a lot of good young talented fashion designers in
Yeah,
Lebanon. But what I always say that everyone has his own style, and everyone is like
yeah,
playing is in his own background, and this is what I really love about like the fashion scene in Lebanon. So fashion in Lebanon, you have like variety of fashion designers. You have the couture, you have the ready to wear ones, you have the you have everything, and I
so
think
what do you
everyone
love
is
that
like
better?
really good.
You like obviously you're not couture, you're more like the ready to wear, but are there like different elements of ready to wear that you think you fit into differently than other designers in the region? How are you different?
I compete with everyone, and at the same time, I don't compete with anyone. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
I'm there. Everyone is doing something totally different,
yeah,
and the market is huge, and the market fits all, and like to
yeah,
each his own style and his own customers and like his own identity. So I
yeah.
never thought about it like where I see myself because
Totally. And I feel like,
yeah,
I mean, you have to come from a place of abundance, especially when you're doing things like art. Like, there is enough space for everybody to do whatever they want. So focus on you and what you're doing. And if you do focus on you and what you're doing, it's going to be differentiated from everybody else because you're not focusing on that person and what they're doing or that person and what they're doing. You're focusing on exactly what makes you happy and what is going to move the needle for you. So I totally get that as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, right now, I feel like there's a couple iconic moments within your label that I loved. One is the Wayne El After Party T-shirt that you
Oh,
designed. Was it last year or the year before?
no,
Uh,
I designed it 2 years ago,
2 years
and
ago.
it was a hit,
Yeah,
and it was surprisingly a hit. So
yeah.
I had to reproduce
For
it.
those of you that don't know or that don't speak Arabic, Wayne El After Party means where is the after party in Arabic. So it's a very funny shirt that I kind of want to get for myself because I find myself saying that a lot. But
Yes, yes.
how did it become a thing? Like where did this come from?
I don't know. Like actually, it's a very funny story because I was at a party myself, and like
Yeah.
everyone was asking the same question: "Where's the after party at? Where's the after party at?" And I was like, I kind of thought about it. I'm like, oh my god, like this is a very interesting thing. If you just like write it on a shirt like and make people wear it, and it's obvious for everyone like to know this person is looking for the after party. So that's how that's how the idea sparked one night, and I decided to do this shirt like for fun.
Yeah.
And oh my god, it was like a hit, and I had to reproduce it last summer, and also it was sold out.
Yeah.
So basically it's like a cash cow, and it's like kind of it fits the identity of the brand of like the party scene, and
Yeah.
it goes with the identity of the brand as I
Yeah.
just said.
And
So
it's
yeah,
so Beirut. I feel like that is the epitome of Beirut. Like Wayne El After
yeah,
Party. Where's the party? Where's the after party? Like it fits in with the culture because I don't know if people know this, but Beirut is like one of the most party friendly cities in the Middle East, if not the world. I mean, the parties there are insane. So I think this is like such a great initiative that you did as well. And it's still available, right? People can still buy it.
yeah, actually, I really need to reproduce a new bunch of this when after party, because like I reproduced it last summer. I changed the font, and I just like changed some details with the font,
Yeah.
and it was already sold out. I'm really
No way.
surprised, and yes, yes,
I need to get
and
my hand on
because
that.
people like it. It's an easy piece to wear, and like they take it as a gift, and it's like because I mean I didn't know that we're all party animals, you know what I
Of
mean? Like
course we
everyone,
are.
we are, yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Because I heard about it because I literally saw everybody on Instagram, on Facebook, everybody that I follow was wearing it.
Yeah,
Like, posted something about us. I was like, oh my God, this is iconic. This is an iconic moment. So I need to get my hand on one of those. And I'll also, I don't know if you have a link to that as well, but if you do, I'm going to put that in the description because I want people to buy it and we should all wear the Wayne and After Party shirt to every party that we go to.
no, I had a lot of friends. They are like either German or like from Amsterdam, and they were like they got the T-shirt, and they were like wearing it at the clubs, and people were like, "Oh my God, you're wearing like what's written in Arabic?" And they tell them they're like interested to buy it, and I'm
I
like, "Oh my
love
God,"
it.
because like they find it exotic, written in
Yeah.
Arabic. Where's the after party at? It's kind of it was a good hit for
No,
the
I love
brand
it. I love it.
because yeah.
Um, let's talk a bit about the art and fashion scene now. Obviously, we can't have a talk in these times without talking about coronavirus and COVID and what's going on. How has that like affected, first of all, being in Lebanon, and then second of all, being a designer in
First of all, before the COVID started, we had and we're still having a revolution happening in Lebanon,
Lebanon?
and now we do have an economical crisis, and this is affecting me on a personal level so much.
Yeah.
That was like long before this COVID-19 happened, and it affected the fashion scene. It affected every business here in Lebanon because the economy went really down, and we feel that we are like living in kind of a nightmare, a never-ending nightmare. But right now it's like easier on me because I know that like the whole global thing is like on hold right now because of the COVID. It's not just like happening here in Lebanon, but honestly, I'm gonna be like honest with you, like in Lebanon we're like in deep shit right now because like we don't know what's going to happen post corona thing because the crisis, the economy. And I must say that it's not a healthy environment to be productive and to be creative. It's really like
you been productive? Like how have you been coping with that? I mean, are you still
I
designing?
mean when
Are you still
I mean, when I was halfway in my collection, Tau collection, the latest one, and revolution happened. I started actually in October, so I had to just like put everything on hold for like 1 month, and like I'm like, no, I have to continue. I have to finish this. So I finished the collection. I shut the collection in December, and I launched it in December, and the revolution was still going. Things were not as shitty as they are right now, but I managed to just like launch the collection. I'm like, okay, I mean, like this is the only thing I can do for living. I can't just like pose my life now. And because I had like because it was like really emotional. I was like seeing people in the streets, and it was like a very tough time, and people were like having tough times in Lebanon. And I thought about like, okay, and I'm doing fashion during these times. It doesn't make sense. It's like super ridiculous. And I felt like inhumane somehow. And then I just like asked myself, like, it's the only thing you can do. It's like, you just like can't spread art. And that was like the theme for my collection. It was, it has this Chinese inspired theme because I got inspired by the Chinese proverbs of like patience, power, and being able to carry on and keep going, and like it's all about strength. And ironically, China happened to be like after like a couple of weeks, China happened to be like the COVID-19 thing that's like on the top of the world news. Yeah. So it was like it was Asian inspired for like because I've been always fascinated by the Asian culture and China and everything since I've lived there, and I think their culture is very rich. So I decided just like to launch the collection. I was surprised that a lot of pieces were sold during this tough time in Lebanon. So like what I want people to know, that Lebanese people know how to live and love to live and enjoy living, even during the toughest of times. Even like right now, if they tell them the clubs are open, they would live on loans and go party and
with their Wayne after party shirt.
Yeah, I mean, like whatever. It's like they are people who were born to live. It's so bad. Like we're passing through really hard times in Lebanon because of like the economy, because of the government. But Lebanese people are so much fun, are so much lively, are so much.
It's insane. I mean, even when I was there, luckily when I was there, there wasn't any kind of like wars or any bad thing happening. It was kind of a more peaceful time in Lebanon. But before that and after that, there has been some kind of conflict or something going on in Lebanon. And I visited, while, either something's going on with Israel or Hezbollah, or like there's been bombing, or, there's an economic crisis. And each time I go, no matter what is happening in the news, the life on the streets is as if nothing is happening, as if these people are living in a paradise. And I know that they don't feel that way. Like they're like, oh my God, my life is like not safe. There's not a lot of security here. But the mentality is to live on and to live as if life has to go on. So there's still the partying, there's still the eating, there's still the meeting with friends, there's still the hospitality that is so intrinsic to Lebanese culture. That is what makes me love this place even more. Like even throughout all the hostile environments and everything that's going on with the government, the people and the culture remains intact, and it remains resilient, and remains, forward looking. So I love that about it. And I think what you're saying as far as like, still working on your designs, working on your fashion, that I feel like is the mentality of so many people that are living there. I don't know.
I think they are immune to, and they can work in any circumstances, like whatever, like how hard it is, they can still manage to keep going. I'm proud of this about like my people. I'm proud of this with myself. I'm proud of like of being born and raised in this country, because it made me who I am right now. You know what I mean? It made me this strong person who wants to really carry on and keep going with whatever circumstances we have. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Oh my God. So can you talk a bit more about what influences you and your design? Sorry, we're totally going fuck COVID. We're going to talk about more about you and your designs. What influences you? I know you talked about your being in China kind of introduced you to Asian culture and the ways of dressing there. What else has influenced you? Do you have any other like fashion designers that you look up to, or things that you derive your designs from?
I mean, like mainly what inspires me on daily basis is people, like the way they think, the way they act, like their culture, their minds, their thinking. It's like I'm really inspired. Sorry, I'm really inspired mainly by cultures. Like it's like my biggest source of inspiration, and like how people evolve by time, and how people manage to live till now. I would say people, culture. I would say like the interaction with people is like the most important thing to me, because I really like I'm really into psychology, and like how people adapt with every single I don't know every single culture, circumstances, and like how people change. This is really interesting. And the fact that you are designing pieces for people to wear, and how people interact with this piece is like super interesting. I love to see the client at the shop trying on one of my pieces and figuring out which one to buy, and like how she takes her decision is really important, like how they see it. Because everyone sees everything from a different point of view, different perspective. And this is really important for the designer to see, because it affects his vision by time. Like, like right now when I'm like designing a couple of pieces, I know that I have this client who definitely buy this piece, and it's like I'm testing like it's like an experimental field for me, how I deal with my work. As for like fashion designers, I do have a lot of like fashion designers that inspired me throughout my university days, my experiences. I mean, like I do have like different kind of styles I'm into. I love Yves Saint Laurent for his yeah, for his work being the real artist. He was like the first designer who got really inspired that much by arts, by ballet, by classic music, by painters, Van Gogh, and everything. I think he was like a super talented, refined designer, and his work was impeccable. He gave women this femininity, yet strength, yet power. Um, I mean, like you can even be able to smell the model walking on the runway on his show. He gave her so much attitude, so much power, and so much elegance, sophistication. I love this image, and I love Terry Mugler, for example, because like this strength, this identity, this shape of how he was like able to see women back then in the 80s. I love
I mean, he's pretty
Alexander
provocative when
McQueen.
it comes to the way he fits his clothes on women as well. I think he does a really good job of like showing the silhouettes of women and
Yes, exactly. Like he brought a new structure and like the female body. And I love Alexander McQueen. He's like a twisted, crazy kind of like avant-garde designer. And I love Isimiaki. I love Japanese designers. Love Gyoji Yamamoto. So I have like different styles I like and appreciation, but it doesn't mean like I have one style. Like me, I can mention like different designers that you wouldn't tell that the same person likes all these designers, because I always see whatever I want to see from each designer. Like as I told you, with Saint Laurent, I love this artist feel and respect for the woman. It's like this elegance and the craziness of Terry Mugler. I love so like a lot of designers inspired me, I
a lot
guess.
of different influences. Then, do you have any mentors that you that mentored you on their way to becoming a fashion designer?
Yes,
You wanna
definitely. Back in the days, I was still part of Starch Foundation. I was mentored by Rabih Keyrouz,
who's
and
amazing.
he's a great mentor. He's our pride, anyways. And I love how he sees fashion and how he sees the woman wearing his clothes, and how clean and elegant his cuts are, yet sophisticated. I was it was يعني I mean I was really lucky to be mentored by Rebecca
I
for
mean,
like
he
a
is.
couple of years.
I feel like if you were to be mentored by any designer, let alone like Lebanese, whatever have you. I mean, as a designer, period, Rabih Keyrouz is the top. So that's so cool.
Yes,
You're able to do
yes,
that as
yes.
well. How was it working with him? I mean, what did he teach you, and what did you learn from him? Like, what's the most important thing you've learned from him?
The most important thing I've learned from him is design what you feel, do what you like, and don't care about if you're gonna sell or not.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yes,
Wait,
it's like
design what you
just like
feel, do what you like, and don't care if you're gonna sell or not. Three
yes,
tips for being an amazing fashion designer. I like that.
yeah, it's like his point of view, and like doing something that you love, and people, you're gonna always find people who are gonna find your job interesting, like and like your work interesting. It's not about like how much sales you are making, and it's really important to know that you can make money easily. I can just like go, for example, and produce shitty pieces I don't know, like in China for like cheap price, and be in the mass market, make a lot of money, but not make something that people would remember. It's like making money is not as important as making an identity and like to deliver a certain image of the brand.
Yeah, and making mark on the world, putting your mark out there on the world. I think that's super
yes,
important.
yes. This is the most important thing I learned from Rabia, and I think it really helped me. And for example, in my case, I'd rather work with something that I see is um, also commercially successful, because at the end of the day I want to sell, but I always keep my designs sellable. I like to see people wearing my stuff. Like my dream is like to bump into people wearing my stuff and they don't know that I'm the designer. I really believe that it's really important to just like be with be surrounded by people who are wearing my stuff. Like some people would see their brands as like a niche market. They don't want to see a lot of people wearing it. For me, I'd rather see a lot of people wearing my pieces and wearing them happily and enjoying them. I design for people. I mean, like in every collection, I have at least one piece that would be suitable for one client who comes into the shop.
Right.
Like I design for the variety we have. Okay, I do have like this kind of like style in my clothes that wouldn't fit everyone, but I always make sure to be able to design one or two pieces that would fit and would be like interesting for anyone who comes into the shop to buy from Perverse.
Okay.
For me, in my opinion, I believe now the market is really wide, and it's like doing something that fits everyone is kind of challenging, because like now everyone has his own independent taste. It's not like back in the days, if you like see like pictures of our mothers, like when they were wearing shoulder pads, hairstyle, it was like one certain style that everybody goes with. But right now we don't have this. Like we have trends, trends that's happening that you don't have to go with. Like we have like a lot of exactly. We have a lot of trends. Like when we talk about like hairstyles or like fashion or like, it's not like, okay, now shoulder pads are in. Okay, they're in, but it's not like the trendiest trend of the season. Like we're not gonna be bumping into everyone wearing shoulder padded jackets.
Now, I don't know if you know this. I'm wearing shoulder pads right now, by the way.
Ah, cool.
This is why my shoulders are so big. But yeah, keep going. Do they look like it? Does it look like I'm wearing shoulder pads?
I just noticed. I just noticed this dynasty kind of like John Collins feel.
Sorry,
yeah. So I believe. Yeah. So this is what I believe in. It's like there's not a certain like one trend happening around the world. It's like a bunch of trends, and you choose what suits you. And yeah.
If you were to give your brand or your aesthetic for your brand a description in 3 words, what would it be?
I would say 3 keywords. That's an interesting question. Okay.
Take a moment, think about it.
Confidence. I would say confidence, because like I've heard a lot of clients telling me whenever like I'm wearing your piece, I feel confident. So it brings out this confident persona in you, and that's really interesting. Confident. Bold. I would say bold.
Okay.
Because it is bold, kind of bold. And the third one would be confident, bold, and I don't know. You help me. I don't know. Confident and bold. Confident and bold. And let me think about confident.
I would say non-conforming.
Non-conforming. Yes.
Whenever I see your pieces, I'm like, wow, this is like totally different than what's out there. I mean, this is for somebody that's super, like you said, confident and bold, but also non-conforming. Somebody that doesn't play by the rules. They do their own thing. They wear what they like. They wear what suits them. And I think that is super important. I think that's what your brand and your label means to me. So that's the one where
So true. Non-conforming. Yeah. Because I never thought about it, like I never thought about like, I like in my life, usually not only with my brand, I just like do what I feel, I just like don't care about like, doing this because the society told me not to do. No, I just like do what I feel. If I feel like doing this, I don't have this.
I think that's such a hard mindset to break. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that feel that they need to follow a specific path and do a specific thing and make sure that they're conforming. But it's so, I think when you become great is when you realize that you don't have to follow everybody else's path. You don't have to do everybody else's thing. You can do your own thing, and that is what's going to make your brand or whatever you're doing stand out and be the best. And I totally agree with what you're saying then.
Yeah. And no.
Yeah. Well, I think this is amazing. I'm so glad that you graced us with your presence today and talked about your brand and talked about your experience. I'm super excited to see your journey. I know for a fact, I feel like in 5 years from now, I'm going to be talking to you on a stage somewhere and you're going to be like talking about your brand and your experience, like in front of like thousands of people.
Fingers crossed,
Fingers
fingers
crossed,
crossed.
fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
yeah, yeah. We always hope for the best, and
Yeah.
I believe the best is yet to come. We're passing through really, 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 really hard times right now,
Yeah.
and it's a global thing, I must say,
Yeah.
and it's really challenging. And I'm really, actually, I have to say that I'm super excited to see what is going to happen, because I love this turning. I mean, like, everything is gonna be changing post COVID,
Yeah.
and people are going to be changing. The way of living is going to be totally different. A consumer market, like, I've read a lot of articles predicting how fashion is going to be post COVID, and I think these are like all predictions. I really want to see what is going to happen.
Speaking of that, I feel like when you talked about your brand being a more sustainable brand, I think that's going to be where fashion is going. I feel like fashion, I mean, it's been going on the sustainable level for a bit, but I think now that COVID is happening and we're really understanding that, like, we need to be smarter about the way we do fashion, the way we design, how much we're designing, how much we're putting out there. And I think we're going to see more sustainable brands. We're going to see more people that are really thinking about, is this really needed? How can I be of service to the people around me while being of also service to the environment and the world around me as well? So
yes.
a lot of that, and I'm excited.
It's more of like conscious thinking and conscious buying. It's like, because what's happening right now is an eye opener for people. It's like, it's not gonna affect the whole universe. It's gonna affect at least 50% of the population. They are gonna be like really aware of, like, I mean, like, we're living this nightmare nonstop, and we took this planet Earth for granted for a very long time, and we actually abused it. And like right now, it's like a wake-up call. Like, just like think about every single decision you're going to be taking that would affect this Earth you're living in, because at the end of the day, it's just like maybe a stupid virus that made us all staying home for like almost like, I've been in quarantine for like 2 months, and it's driving me crazy. But I am just like learning how to just,
I think
like,
this is the perfect time for us to take a deep breath in, breathe out, and take in our surroundings, take in what's happening, and change what needs to be changed. You know? So I think
exactly.
But on that note,
and we're looking forward.
I wanna take us out with some Perils Label Lobnan, because
yes.
So I'm gonna put it on, and we're gonna dance to it for like a quick second.
I'm gonna sing it with her.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Can you hear that?
Yeah. No, I can't hear.
I know you can't. Wait.
بحبك يا لبنان يا وطني، بحبك بشمالك بجنوبك، سهلك بحبك تسأل شو بني وشو اللي ما بني، بحبك يا لبنان.
أيوة. Oh my God, Lobnan, بحبك يا لبنان. Thank you so much for joining this interview, and I can't wait.
Thank you so much. Really, thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to link everything that we talked about in the description so that people can see your stuff. Everybody who's watching, like this, share it with everybody, tell them about Lobnan, tell them about me. Subscribe to my channel.
Subscribe to your channel.
Yes,
subscribe to your
channel. Bye, babes.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.